But the person who is struggling, who keeps starting over, who has all this potential but never sees results, they are at war with their own thoughts. Their mind is telling them one thing while they are trying to do another. They want to be confident, but they are thinking insecure thoughts. They want to be successful, but they're thinking like a failure. You cannot have it both ways. So right now, today you have got to decide which one is going to be. Is your mind going to be the weapon that helps you conquer your goals, or is it going to be the enemy that keeps you trapped in the same place year after year? The choice is yours, but you have to make it consciously, because if you do not choose, your mind will default to whatever programming it already has. This is not some feel-good theory. This is reality. Show me what occupies your mind during the day, and I will show you exactly where your life is headed. You're sitting there thinking about how broke you are. Guess what? You're staying broke. You're thinking about how nobody believes in you. Guess what? You will keep finding people who do not believe in you. Your thoughts are creating your reality right now. I do not care if you believe it or not. This is a law, just like gravity. You do not have to believe in gravity for it to work. You jump off a building and you are going down. Same thing with your thoughts. You think about lack, you experience lack. You think about problems, you see problems everywhere. You think about opportunities, and suddenly you start noticing opportunities you walked past 100 times before. Your brain has something called the reticular activating system. Fancy words for a simple concept. Your brain filters information based on what you tell it is important. When you buy a new car, suddenly you see that same car everywhere. The cars were always there, but now your brain is tuned to notice them. The same thing happens with your thoughts about your life. If you spend most of your mental energy thinking about what you do not have, your brain tunes into lack. It filters out abundance and zooms in on scarcity. If you think about how hard everything is, your brain starts filtering out the easy paths and highlighting every obstacle. You are literally programming your brain to see the world a certain way based on your dominant thoughts. Now flip that around. The person who thinks about solutions most of the time starts seeing solutions everywhere. The person who thinks about growth and possibility starts noticing chances to grow. The person who thinks about gratitude starts recognizing more things to be grateful for. Same world, different experience, all based on thought patterns. You want to know why some people seem to have all the luck? It is not luck. They train their mind to think a certain way, and that thinking causes them to notice things, take actions, and make decisions that other people miss completely. They are not special. They are not chosen. They just disciplined what they think about most of the time. Here is your reality check. Track your thoughts for one day, just one day. Every hour, stop and ask yourself what I've been thinking about for the last 60 minutes. Write it down. At the end of the day, look at that list and ask yourself if those thoughts match the life I want to create. If they do not match, you found your problem. You become what you think about. Change the thoughts, change the life. You cannot feed your mind junk and expect excellence to come out. You cannot spend all day scrolling through negativity, listening to people complain, watching content that does not add value to your life, and then wonder why you feel stuck. You have got to be intentional about what you allow into your mental space. Protect your mind like you protect your money, because your mind is way more valuable. Think about your body for a second. If you ate fast food for every single meal, never drank water, and never ate a vegetable, what would happen to your body? It would break down. You would feel terrible. You would get sick. Everyone understands this concept when it comes to physical health. But somehow we think our mental health works differently. It does not. What you consume mentally affects you just like what you consume physically. You spend an hour watching the news that is designed to make you anxious and afraid, which goes into your mind. You spend your lunch break with people who do nothing but gossip and complain, which goes into your mind. You scroll social media looking at everyone else's highlight reel while you are in your behind, the seen struggle which goes into your mind. All of that is data. Your brain is processing it, storing it, and using it to form patterns and beliefs. You are feeding your mind information, and your mind is going to use that information to shape how you see yourself, how you see the world, and what you believe is possible for you. If the information is garbage, the output will be garbage. Now I am not saying live in a bubble. I am not saying ignore reality. I am saying be selective, be intentional. Ask yourself whether this adds value to my life. Does this make me better? Does this help me grow? Does this inspire me, or does it drain me? If it drains you, if it pulls you down, if it fills your head with limitation and negativity, why are you consuming it? You have got to start treating your mind like the valuable asset it is. You would not pour sugar in your gas tank and expect your car to run right. You would not plant weeds in your garden and expect flowers to grow. So why would you fill your mind with negativity, drama, and limitation and expect positive, successful, abundant thoughts to grow? It does not work that way. Start auditing what you allow in, the music you listen to, the shows you watch, the books you read, the podcasts you hear, the conversations you participate in, and the social media you consume. All of it matters. All of it is programming your mind. If you want your thoughts to be disciplined, you have got to discipline what goes into the mind in the first place. Clean up your inputs, and your outputs will change automatically. Here is where most people mess up. They think disciplining your thoughts means you will always feel positive and motivated. No. Some days you will wake up and your mind will try to tell you to quit, to give up, to stay in bed, to play small. Discipline is when you recognize those thoughts and you make the choice to think differently anyway. You override that default setting. Feelings are real, but they are not always true. You can feel like a failure and still be on the path to success. You can feel like quitting and still be 2 steps away from a breakthrough. You can feel unmotivated and still take action. Disciplining your thoughts is not about waiting until you feel like thinking positively. It is about directing your thoughts regardless of how you feel. Most people are slaves to their emotions. They wake up and check how they feel, and that determines their whole day. I feel good today, so I will work on my goals. I feel bad today, so I will skip it. That is not discipline. That is being controlled by your emotions. Discipline is recognizing the feeling and then choosing your thoughts and actions based on your goals, not your moods. Your feelings follow your thoughts, not the other way around. You do not think positively because you feel good. You feel good because you think positive thoughts. You do not think confidently because confidence has shown up. Confidence shows up because you practice confident thoughts even when you felt insecure. This is backwards from how most people operate. When you do not feel like doing something, that is exactly when disciplining your thoughts matters most. That is when your mental muscle gets built. Anybody can think right when everything is going well, but can you direct your thoughts when you've just been rejected? Can you control your thinking when you fail? Can you discipline your mind when you are tired, discouraged, and everything in you wants to give up? That is the difference between people who make it and people who do not. The ones who make it learn to discipline their thoughts, especially when they do not feel like it. They wake up feeling defeated, and they choose to think about their purpose anyway. They face a setback, and they choose to think about the lesson instead of the loss. They feel fear, and they choose to think about the possibility instead of the danger. This is not easy. Nobody said it would be easy, but it is necessary. You build mental discipline the same way you build physical muscle. Repetition, especially under resistance, when your thoughts want to go negative and you redirect them to positive, that is a mental rep. When you feel like quitting and you choose to think about why you started, that is a mental rep. Do enough reps and disciplined thinking becomes your new default. Just because you think something does not make it true. You might think you are not smart enough. That is a thought, not a fact. You might think you are too old, too young, too inexperienced. Those are thoughts. You have got to learn to separate the truth from the lies your mind tries to tell you. Question your thoughts. Challenge them. Do not just accept everything your brain serves up. Your brain is trying to protect you. That is its job. And the way it protects you is by keeping you comfortable, keeping you safe, keeping you in familiar territory. So when you try to do something new, something big, something that requires growth, your brain throws up thoughts designed to stop you. It tells you that you cannot do it. It reminds you of every time you failed before. It exaggerates the risks and minimizes your abilities. These thoughts feel true because they come from inside your own head. You think, well, I am thinking it, so it must be real. No. Your thoughts are often just your brain running old programming, old fears, old patterns. They are not the objective truth. They are subjective interpretations based on past experiences, limiting beliefs, and the desire to avoid pain. Here is a fact. You are breathing right now. That is verifiable, objective, and true. Here is a thought. You are not capable of success. That is not a fact. That is an opinion your mind is offering you based on fear. But most people treat their thoughts like facts. They think I am not good enough. And they accept it as reality instead of recognizing it as a fearful thought that can be challenged. Start putting your thoughts on trial. When a negative or limiting thought shows up, cross-examine it. Where is the evidence? Is this absolutely true? Is there another way to look at this? What would I tell a friend who had this thought? Most of the time, when you actually question your thoughts, you realize they do not hold up under scrutiny. You thought you could not start a business, but people with less experience than you have started successful businesses. Fact. You thought you were too old, but people twice your age have accomplished incredible things. Fact. You thought nobody would support you, but you have not actually asked everyone. And even if some say no, that does not mean all will say no. Fact. See how this works. Your thoughts are powerful, but they are not always truthful. You've got to become the gatekeeper of your own mind. Just because a thought knocks on the door does not mean you have to let it in and give it a place at your table. You get to decide which thoughts you accept and which ones you reject. Stop treating every thought like it is gospel truth and start treating them like suggestions that you get to evaluate and either accept or dismiss. The moment you catch yourself thinking something that does not serve you, you have to replace it right then and there, not later, not tomorrow, right then. If you think I cannot do this, immediately say to yourself, what can I do to figure this out? If you think I always fail, replace it with I am learning and growing. This is not about lying to yourself. This is about redirecting your mental energy toward solutions instead of problems. Your mind cannot hold two opposing thoughts at the same time. It is either thinking one thing or another. So when you catch a negative thought, the fastest way to get rid of it is not to fight it, but to replace it. Fighting it gives it attention and energy. Replacing it redirects your mental focus to something that actually serves you. This has to be immediate because thoughts gain momentum. A single negative thought is manageable, but if you let it sit there, it invites other negative thoughts. One thought about how you are not good enough turns into a whole spiral about everything that is wrong with your life. You've got to catch it early and redirect it before it picks up speed. Think of your mind like a garden. Weeds will grow if you let them. You can pull weeds out, but the best strategy is to plant so many good seeds that weeds do not have room to grow. When you immediately replace negative thoughts with positive or productive ones, you are crowding out the mental weeds with useful plants. You are taking up the mental space with thoughts that help you instead of hurt you. This is a skill. At first, you will not catch your thoughts until they have been running for a while. That is okay. When you notice, replace them right then. Over time, you will get faster. You will catch the negative thought sooner. Eventually, you will catch it the second it appears. And after enough practice, the negative thoughts will show up less often because your mind learns that they get replaced immediately, so it stops offering them as often. The replacement thought does not have to be some big affirmation. It just has to be better than the negative thought and true enough for you to believe it. If you cannot believe I am amazing, try I'm doing my best. If you cannot believe I never fail, try to learn from every experience. The goal is progress, not perfection. A slightly better thought is still better. Do this all day long. Every time you catch a thought that does not serve you, replace it immediately. Tired turns into I am building strength. Overwhelmed turns into I will take it one step at a time. This is too hard turns into this is challenging me to grow. Small shifts done consistently will completely rewire how your mind operates. You are training your brain to default to productive thinking instead of destructive thinking. People pick up on your energy. If you walk into a room thinking you do not belong there, everybody in that room will feel it. If you go into an opportunity thinking you are not qualified, the person interviewing you will sense it. But when you discipline your mind to think, I belong here, I have value, I bring something to the table, people respond to that confidence. Your inner dialogue becomes your outer reality. This is not magic. This is psychology. What you think about yourself affects your body language, your tone of voice, your eye contact, your posture, and the words you choose. All of that communicates to other people before you even say anything meaningful. If your thoughts are, I am not good enough, your shoulders slump, your voice gets quieter, you avoid eye contact, and you apologize for things that do not need apologies. But when your thoughts are, I have something valuable to offer, your whole demeanor changes. You stand taller. You speak more clearly. You make eye contact. You take up space without apology. People read that energy and they respond to it. They treat you the way you are signaling them to treat you based on how you treat yourself in your own mind. Have you ever noticed how some people walk into a room and command respect without saying a word? It is not about looks. It is not about money. It is about the conversation they are having with themselves. They think thoughts like, I am capable, I am valuable, I deserve to be here. And that internal certainty translates into external presence. Other people feel it and they respond accordingly. On the flip side, you can have all the qualifications in the world, but if your thoughts are insecure, people will pick up on that insecurity. You can have the best product, the best idea, the best solution, but if your internal dialogue is doubtful, that doubt will leak out in how you present yourself. You will undersell yourself. You will downplay your value. You will give people reasons to doubt you because you are doubting yourself. This is why two people with the